told me that the DJI Mini 2 was now 3 years old, I wouldn't believe you. I've had this drone for almost 2 years and I'm going to take you through if it's still worth buying in 2024. I've broken this down into sections. First, we'll be diving into what the pros and cons are, followed by my experience with the drone, the ups, the downs, and my thoughts on it as a total package to help you make a decision on if this is the right drone for you in 2024. Let's get right into it. This drone has been my right hand piece of tech on multiple road trips and adventures around the island of Ireland. It's accompanied me through all seasons of the year and it has performed pretty well in most of them. I've put around 10 hours of flight time on this drone and it hasn't felt like that at all. This drone has essentially acted as a gateway drone for myself and a lot of others. Once you have this drone, it makes you start to wonder what the features and capabilities the extremely expensive drones must have. Let's start with the pros of this drone. First of all, it's very beginner friendly and it's very quick to pick up. I think after a few flights, I was pretty much able to fly the drone. It takes great photos and videos. Naturally, it's equipped with a 4K camera, particularly in the daytime. We'll get into a con in a little while about kind of the nighttime performance. It's a pretty fast drone should you need to relocate when using sport mode. There's different modes on the drone. You've cinematic, you've normal, and then you've sport. So it allows you to get the right speed for whatever scene you're trying to shoot. The size and portability of the drone itself is a massive pro. You can literally package the drone and put it in your pocket. I have the Fly More kit, so I can put it in the pouch that it comes with, but to be honest, I normally just take it with me without that and it's perfectly fine. It's easy to fix should something go wrong, and with the Fly More combo kit you get a screwdriver, the blades, and kind of everything you need to fix the drone. When I first got it, I think on my second flight I flew it straight into a wall, so I broke I think 2 sets of blades, and it was a simple 10-minute job just to take the blades off, put on the new replacement blades that came with it, and then you're back in the air. The app itself that goes along with the drone, the DJI app, is fantastic. It's great for sharing and downloading the photos instantly to your phone. For me, I obviously don't always have my laptop or my Mac Mini with me, so it's great to be able to share those photos in advance, or if I'm with people and they want to see the photos, I can just airdrop them then once I get them onto my phone. You can also enable a feature that just auto syncs the photos as they're being taken. Now, depending on the storage on your phone, you might not want to do that, but it is an option. Also, in a lot of countries, you don't need a license if it's under 250 grams in weight, so this drone does get around that in a number of countries. That said, I think a lot of countries now are adapting the laws to include any drone with a camera regardless of weight, so that may not be a massive pro, but it's still there. It's still valid for some countries. Now for the cons. Once you get past the overwhelming learning curve and the fact you have a cool new toy at the start, you then shift your focus to the features that really matter to you, and that does expose some of the downfalls of this drone. We'll start off with one of the most noticeable ones, and that is the ability to deal with moderate to strong winds. So I live on the coast of Ireland and we often get a lot of strong winds. You basically can't really put this drone up in those strong winds unless you want it to be blown a considerable distance away, and it's probably just not as safe when landing. So I'd highly recommend that you take that into consideration if you live in a really windy area, or if you're, planning on shooting like cliffs and all this sort of stuff on really windy days, because you may struggle. This drone doesn't have the most powerful motors when compared to kind of some of the more advanced pro models, so it's just something to keep in mind. The obstacle avoidance sensors on this drone, it only has downward facing obstacle avoidance sensors, so it can only know if there's something under it. It doesn't know if there's something across or to the sides. That's one of the downfalls, and it probably would have prevented me landing in a wall in my early drone flights. However, I do believe the newer drones, the DJI Mini 3 and the 4 Pro, have obstacle avoidance sensors on kind of all sides, so that might be a consideration if you're worried about crashing the drone. So we'll move on to kind of some of the camera features, and we'll start off with night or low light performance. So it's not the best in the dark or in low light performance. You can tweak the settings to make it so you get a better picture, but it's something to bear in mind if you're particularly going out there and shooting nighttime footage. It also doesn't have native active tracking, and what I mean by this is obviously there's preset modes where you can get it to select a subject and circle around the subject, and there's a load of different things like that. However, if you're in a car and you want to follow the car with the drone, you're unable to do that with this particular model. Now, I believe there are separate apps that you can install. I think Maven is one, that will allow you to have this active track functionality. However, if you just want it out of the box, it does not come with this. The camera zoom quality, it does zoom up to 2 times on this particular camera, and it's basically just a cropped image, I believe, of what the sensor is seeing, so it doesn't have that much detail. And if you're looking at getting more zooms, you're probably better off looking at one of the higher end models, the ones with like multiple cameras and dedicated telephoto cameras. And finally, I'll talk about the battery degradation, and this is something I've kind of run into over time. So I've looked after my batteries. I've have the Fly More kit as I mentioned, so I have 3 batteries, and the guidance is to keep them kind of half to 75% full if you're not really using them. Never really charge them to 100%, obviously, to avoid degradation, and take them out of the case and the drone when you're not using them, so they have intelligent chips inside that tell them to kind of depower themselves as such. And I followed that religiously over my ownership of the drone, and I still have noticed quite significant battery degradation. Now, it's not major when you have the 3 batteries, but it definitely does happen, but that's going to be expected with all drones, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. So overall, my experience, it has been a great one with this drone. It's really quick to deploy and have ready at a moment's notice, and the Fly More combo kit in particular has done wonders in terms of having all the equipment and batteries I need to get going straight away. So if you are thinking about getting this drone, I'd recommend you go for that particular package. If you're wondering who I'd recommend this drone to, particularly beginner drone pilots, those that are photographers or someone who just likes exploring. If you are a more seasoned drone pilot, I don't think this drone is for you, and if you're looking for all the bells and whistles, you might want to check out one of the pro models in the lineup.